Hard Turn is presented by Overlake Medical Center and Clinics.
Life is full of big moments of change and transformation where we have to pivot on our path.
Those moments come with a wide variety of emotions, from fear and anxiety to joy and relief.
I'm Kelly Koopmans.
And I'm Mary Nam, and this is Hard Turn. Hi, Kelly.
Well, hi, Mary.
Good to see you again.
I feel like a long-lost base.
Season 2 of Hard Turn. We're in new digs, kind of.
Oh my gosh. This is fancy schmancy compared to what we had last season.
Which was great.
Which was also really great. But now people can watch us all over the place.
Can we just... I have a confession really quick.
Let's hear it.
We're running out of time. Okay, so Season 2, we have the video element.
Yes.
Normally at this hour, I don't have a stitch of makeup on, but now I do.
And look at you, you're all dolled up.
So.
Isn't this a cozy place? We can be our authentic selves.
Yeah.
Sure?
No, I'm kidding. It's just the makeup. That's the only, normally I would have it on much later because the newscast is later, but that's all right. All right.
I'm just so excited to be in the swanky new digs and have the opportunity to do Season 2 with you. Season 1, I think, was really fulfilling for both of us.
It was,
and we were so glad that people would join us and the chance to do Season 2. Let's do it.
And our first guest, perfect first guest, I think.
Oh my gosh. His story is amazing. So we talked to Brent Beardall from WaFd Bank. He is the CEO over there, has been for a long time. And when you want to talk about a hard turn, he survived a plane crash. And
it made the news. Some of our listeners, viewers might be familiar with the story. Headed to the Rose Bowl. He will explain it all. But just the fact that he was sitting here in person, walked in, sat down, was able to speak about it. If you were to see him on the street, you would never know what he survived.
No, you really wouldn't. And some of those life lessons that he gets to and how it changed his perspective and his leadership style, I think that's all really important. I hope that the story can resonate in a lot of different ways with people, no matter what they're facing.
Absolutely. This is a man who describes it as being able to, having almost experienced his own funeral and how to live your life day one after that fact. Take a listen.
By the way, Kelly, thanks for wearing that shirt because it makes me feel good because that is an unironed shirt the way I would wear it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like, this is like...
I look at that, I'm like, come on, what an iron would do.
No, my way about going things is I throw it in the dryer, get that tumble going. Yeah. If the wrinkles come out, that's good enough for me. And if they don't, it adds character.
It makes you look more approachable. Yeah. It makes you look less stuffy.
That's what we're all about here on Hard Turn. Brent, thank you so much for joining us today.
Really excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, this podcast is all about those moments in life where, things change. Life just gets shot off into a different direction. And honestly, you were one of the first people that came to mind here. Your whole story is really quite remarkable. Let's just jump right to what happened back in January of 2023. Can you take me back to that morning?
Yeah, I sure can. And life can change literally in an instant, right? That was one of my learnings. Just like a light switch. All of a sudden, it's dark and then it's light or vice versa. And so had the good fortune for work, we were going to go down to the Rose Bowl. This was the University of Utah, I think, playing Penn State or someone. And a client of ours in Utah is on the board of trustees at the university, and he, had really good tickets, said, hey, why don't you guys come down? Another client of ours who was a BYU Cougar where I went to school, he said, why don't you guys come and see what it's like to root for a football program that gets to go to the Rose Bowl? So it was, a little bit of a jab. And we said, sure, sounds great. And my other friend, the client, said, hey, Brent, I will fly us back and forth on the same day. So we showed up at the airport, and there were light snow flurries, and my friend was just absolutely meticulous. This is someone that had been successful in everything he did. He led New Skin in sales for 30 years. He developed something crazy like about $2.5 million or 2.5 million square feet of office in Utah, a place they now call Silicon Slopes. So he'd been just successful in everything. And he'd been a pilot for 15 years. And just he paid attention to every little detail. And he was watching the weather maps. He's like, okay, I think we're going to be good to go. Here's the timing. And we left, I don't know, around 8:30 that morning. And the plane was in his hangar. So, 60 degrees or whatever, pulled it out, got refueled. And he had me sit in the co-pilot seat. I'm not a pilot, and you need a co-pilot? No, it's certified for just one pilot, and you can just be along for the ride. So who wouldn't want to go in the co-pilot seat and it's, I think, a 16-person jet, so a large jet, and there were two others in the back of the plane, his wife and one of our bankers. But long story short, we took off. Got a couple hundred feet off the ground, and something went terribly wrong, and we ended up going nose first into the ground at about 200 miles an hour, and he was crushed on impact, and I was left severely disfigured and not very good shape at all. Thankfully, the two in the back walked away unharmed, which is a miracle in and of itself, but my life changed at that moment. I mean, the contrast is what gets me. You go from, you're at Disneyland, you're riding in a jet airplane on your way to go to a football game, back and forth the same day, to the next thing you know, literally as if you've been hit in the face with a 2x4, and what's next? And first you grapple with, are you alive?
Do you remember the impact? Do you remember those moments, Brent?
Unfortunately, yes.
What do you remember?
It's so quick, right? It's not like it's just everything's good, then oh no, and then boom. And you just remember the trauma, the pain, and then the spinning. So the way I describe it now, it's as if your body was in a clothes dryer, and you're on a spin cycle. And we rolled 12 to 15 times, which turned out to be a blessing, because that's why we didn't burn to death in a fire or explosion, because the wings and the engines were severed from the plane. But it's that rolling. When is it going to end? And right, we all wonder at dark times, what does the end look like? Right, as you transition to whatever's next, what does it look like? And are you alive? Are you not alive? You're in so much pain, and it's the body is amazing in what adrenaline can do and help you get through.
And you had extensive injuries. That's saying it quite lightly. Did you go through the windshield? I believe you said in an interview. Yeah,
the force, and I'm not an engineer or anything, but an engineer did tell me that the seats in that plane are rated to, I think, 16 Gs. Before they'll break out, and the pilot, his seat broke out of the plane, so it must have been greater than a 16 G impact, and so my face ended up going through the windshield, and you can see the windshield displaced. But it effectively it severed off the majority of my nose, forehead. I can show you pictures. What's remarkable to me, I look at it and my eyes were protected. Almost scars everywhere else, but my eyes were protected, which thank heavens I still have sight.
Your body was broken.
Yeah, and you mentioned that moment of wondering, am I alive? Am I dead? What's happening? What was the moment where you realized, oh, I'm alive?
It was when I started to see and hear others, right? It's when the emergency crew came and, okay, something terrible's happened. Stay here. We're going to do what we can to help you. And they basically tried to torque different things. The metal was bent all around me to free me up so they could extract me. And they said, sit still, the ambulance is on the way. And I've gotten to be good friends with these individuals that were there. And it's a small airport. It's a municipal airport, the Provo Airport. So they had no medical training, trained in fire, but no medical training. And just instinctively, it's not like I thought about it, but I undid the 5-point seatbelt that I was in because my seat was still part of the plane, and I jumped out. So I had a compound fracture of my right leg with both bones protruding. I stood up on that. The pelvic bone was absolutely destroyed. The left hip absolutely dislocated. Compound fracture of the elbow, my face, what it was. But I was able to somehow stand up and jump out. And it effectively saved my life because it got my face into the snow, which slowed the bleeding. Because had I not, it was just a matter of minutes from my understanding. So but at that point when I heard them talking to me, I said, okay, this is real.
So then begins a very long road to recovery.
It resets your life.
Yeah.
It totally resets your life.
Physically, grueling, mentally, you've kind of talked about, the changes that you go through with that. How is the man different sitting right here in front of us compared to the man who woke up the morning before the accident? How are they different?
Wow. It gives me chills even thinking about that. I'm so much more aware of making sure others in my life know what they mean to me. Right? How none of us are guaranteed a tomorrow. As you know.
Yes.
Right? As we all know. I'm
Yep.
sure you have experiences, Mary. But how would you feel if you're not here tomorrow to say something to someone? How do you leave conversations, even heated disagreements, arguments? Do you let them know that, hey, you still matter to me? And so the biggest difference for me is that interpersonal, to say, because everything comes and goes. This office building comes and goes. Our bank account comes and goes. Everything else comes and goes. What matters is the relationships we have.
Brent, that is so eye-opening. How do you navigate knowing that you went through this experience, so you have this newfound realization? Like the compass of your life has permanently altered, but everyone else in your life is still going on in that motion. They have not experienced that. Was there any sort of conflict at all? Was that difficult to navigate? Were some of the things lost in translation, for lack of a better term? Was that hard?
It actually was easy for me because there were so many people in my life that were involved with me going through the process. Someone said something to me that is rather morbid but true. Like, Brent, you got to experience your own funeral. The outpouring of love and support, the number of people that were coming to the hospital, and literally it turned into a security concern at the hospital, the number of people coming in. And it was so humbling. And how do I repay that? And the only way you can repay that is to tell people sincerely how you feel about them. And so, no, that to me it was natural. And I'm not saying that my way is the right way, right? Everyone has their own life journey, their own experiences. But what was real for me, I have to act on it.
I would imagine, everyone has these experiences in life that can change you. And when you have this new outlook, others around you, I think it kind of relates to what Mary was saying too, of other people and your relationships. Relationships can change after you change. How did you experience that, whether it was through friendships or colleagues or family? Did you experience that navigating these new relationships with new dynamics was a challenge?
It was, but it was a welcome challenge because I would say the depth of my relationships profoundly changed. So many, and I don't know if this is a gender thing or not, but so many of my relationships were somewhat superficial, business related, golf related, But the number of people that I was able to connect with on a deeper level, and I have stories, and technology is a fabulous thing. Sitting in your hospital bed, being able to FaceTime with people, and literally the tears. And when something like this happens and someone opens up and says, Brent, when I heard the news, all I could do was fall on my knees in tears and pray to God that you would make it. There's nothing more intimate than that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? You now know exactly where you sit for that person, what matters, right? And that's incredibly humbling. And my immediate reaction is, how in the hell am I going to reciprocate and let them know the difference they made in my life?
Mm-hmm. Is there something that you don't do anymore? Or if I turn that question around, is there something that you do all the time now that you didn't do anymore?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that. Okay, well, I got a mulligan in life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that I hit my first shot out of bounds. I not that I didn't make mistakes, but I'm pleased with the life I've lived, but I get to keep going that I shouldn't have for whatever reason. And so it is such an honor for me to be able to be alive and to share. So the people have talked to me, how do you get on an airplane again? Right? And the PTSD is real. And it's hard. And the very first commercial flight I got back on, we had a very hard landing. What do they call it? The dead cat bounce, where you hit the runway, then bounce up, and then come up. That was not good. Mm. Right? Because for me, the airplane is, you have absolutely no control. There is nothing that you can do other than sit down, buckle up, and say a prayer. Mm-hmm. Right? But that is life. There is so much in life that we can't control that happens to us. And we have a choice. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to complain and bemoan the fact that all these things are happening? Or are we going to just say, okay, this is happening. How am I going to respond, and how am I going to get up and do something with it? And that's really where I've tried to change the mindset, that focus, to be positive. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. One of the things that's changed in me, I really have no fear. When it's my time, it's my time. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. And something we all have in common is we are going to die. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can either live your life in bubble wrap to try to limit the opportunities that you're going to die early, or you can live your life the way you want to live your life. And I'm not suggesting live your life recklessly, but there's degrees in between. And I'm going to live my life. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to fly on airplanes. I ride on that little electric skateboard thing called the One Wheel.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's fun. And be like, oh, my goodness, you're going to hit your head. You're falling. So what if I hit my head, if I break I'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Life is too short not to enjoy the ride. Don't let yourself get so wrapped up into, hey, this terrible thing could happen. Yeah, it could. But don't let it steal the joy of life, mm-hmm. that fear. Yeah. So to me, that's one of the biggest changes that's happened to me is I really don't have fear. I run the largest bank in the state with my incredible team at WaFd. And before, if you told me the FDIC would come in and take over WaFd like they took over WAMU in 2008, that'd be like the worst thing in the world that could happen to me. Are you kidding me? That's my entire professional career. But now, if the FDIC came knocking at the door and said, oh, my goodness, we're going to take you over, I would tell them why they're wrong. I'd tell them about the strength of our capital ratios, our liquidity, our interest rate risk management, everything we have going for them, and why I think we're strong and we will be just fine. Mm-hmm. We've been around for 110 years now. My job is to help us do that for at least the next, hopefully, 20 years while I'm there. But even if they took it, that's okay. I would say, here are the keys. You're wrong. Good luck to you. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Nobody can take that.
Yeah. You talk about WaFd, and I'm sure this affects not just, of course, who you are as a human, but how you are as a leader. Can you talk about how it has changed your leadership style, how you're seeing that affect your employees and therefore affect how you go about doing business on the day-to-day?
Yeah, no, happy to. And everybody in management talks about culture. How do you build culture? Right? It's such a buzzword. And, what's this saying that, culture will eat strategy for breakfast all day long, right? You can have the best strategy, but if you have a terrible culture, it's not going to do anything. You have to have culture. And how do you build the culture? And it's dynamic. It's hard to put a one size fits all. But my answer to that, the way you build culture, is you're real. You embrace the awkward. You tell people what you actually think about them, good and bad, and they tell you back. That's how you build a culture. You don't build a culture pretending because, hey, these are the norms that we need to follow. Right? I mean, obviously, there's a line here, right? We need to be appropriate. We need to treat people with respect, and you can't just do whatever you want. But you have to be real.
Can you give me an example of that, Brent? Because some people might be watching and going, well, you're the CEO, so it's easy for you, because it's a position that you have. And it might sound like if you're the low man on the totem pole or the newest hire, you might be really shy about that. You might not even believe that to be true.
Sure. And it is easy for me to say, but... multiple examples. Just last week, I had someone in our downtown Seattle branch pull me aside. Hey, Brent, just want to let you know that one of our janitors, she invited me to go to church with her. That's a church that's about to lose they rent out a space in another church. They're so hard done by from financial standpoint. They're about to lose their church, and wanted to reach out and see if there's anything we can do. And I said, I know, Brent. Why not ask? And I'm not here to say we're building a relationship. We're going to see what we can do. But the fact that one of our personal bankers in downtown Seattle cares enough about our janitor to go to her church with her, and then see the need, and then say, hey, Brent, can we do anything to help? That's being real.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A last question that we like to ask here is, other people who are facing their own type of hard turn, whether it is a near-death experience or whether it is trying to overcome something physically and someone's facing the most amount of pain they've ever felt, what would you tell them in that moment?
What I would tell them in that moment is don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Right? You're already hurt. So human nature tells you to be protective. Keep everybody at a distance because you're already hurt. But really where the healing comes in is if you're vulnerable. And what's amazing about being vulnerable, from my perspective, is it allows you to open up, even as we're experiencing in this conversation. Mm-hmm. Right? I can see in both of your eyes, right? There's a lot of conversations we can have, your experiences. And when someone is vulnerable, when they open up about how they're feeling and how they're doing, that allows the other person to open up as well. They reciprocate. And then all of a sudden you have a community of people that are broken, that are hurt. And now all of a sudden you don't feel such an outcast. Mm-hmm. And building that network by being real, by being vulnerable, it's counterintuitive. But to me, that's real. And that is the best advice I can give.
That's very good advice.
Well, I think this will resonate with a lot of people. Most people have something that breaks them or hurt them at some point. And hearing your story and sharing that, I just think there are so many great lessons in here that will resonate with a lot of people. So I want to thank you so much for your time, Brent.
Well, no, thank you. And I think it's important, and I really appreciate this opportunity because I think we need leaders in our community to step up and say, everything's not okay. right? And not just with others, with them.
Mm-hmm. I'll join you. Not everything is not okay.
Yes, right?
Ditto.
Right? And it's liberating to
Yes.
even say that, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Because everything in our society is built around, putting your best foot forward, showing how everything is okay. But it's not always okay.
That's right. That's right.
Brent, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
At Overlake Medical Center and Clinics, we offer the full spectrum of care for every stage of life. And with our skilled and compassionate physicians and care teams, it's so much more than a place to get better. It's where you can achieve a lifetime of good health. Welcome to Overlake, where your care is our passion. For more information, visit overlakehospital.org.
We'd like to thank Brent for sharing his story with us, deeply personal and public at the same time.
I love how he talks about the vulnerability. And when you are open, it opens the door for other people to be open to you. And I know that he just said it there at the end, but, when someone shows not everything's okay, I'm broken and hurt. And the fact that most people have something in life that has hurt them and has broken them. And if we all just acknowledge that in each other, that we would have more connection in life.
And I don't know if you noticed, Kelly, you were sitting closer to him than I was. But at many points during the interview, his eyes welled up with tears.
Yeah.
And he was very open, emotional, talking about his story. And what is that? You see someone and their eyes well up, and then I noticed that my eyes were starting to well up, and I thought, no, hold it. Don't. This is not the time.
Uh-oh, I realized what the studio's missing. The tissue box.
That is a really good point.
We are missing the tissue box.
Okay.
Add it to
Producer
the
Dan,
list.
Tissue box, please. But there's something about, I think, when you talk about something that is deeply personal to you and, for lack of a better term, this person is telling you the truth to them of what they experienced, that just cuts right into you.
I thought it was amazing. He showed us some pictures of that crash and how he jumped out of that. And it shows him laying in the snow. And, he's going to share some of those pictures with us, so we'll be able to share them with people as well. You can see it yourself. But the amount of rehab he had to go through, and he was telling us at another point about that one moment where he stood up and walked for the first time in his kitchen. And you think about someone who was the CEO of a bank flying on a private jet somewhere, to being so humbled and to be so grateful and elated at walking across his kitchen. The grit and determination he showed to get through that recovery is just amazing.
I mean, we didn't have time to get into too much of that, but that is a big chapter in his life, is just what it was like, the grueling physical recovery to get to where he is today. And I also liked how he talked about how, it's not like you have to go through what he went through, right? To have this light bulb go on, to come to this realization, to make positive changes in your life. And I think that's important to really think about that. You don't have to wait for your near-death moment, God forbid, to realize that.
These types of moments, I think, can come in lots of different ways. I think you and I have experienced those, as probably anyone that we know, whether it's an existential crisis of changing a job. Do I accept this job? Do I move? Do I continue in this relationship? And all of those are these pivot moments that make you evaluate life and give you the perspective to see, like, what changes do I want to make here to live true to myself if tomorrow isn't promised?
Right. And him saying, no one is guaranteed tomorrow, and he is completely accepting of when his time comes. Brent says he's ready.
Yeah, he said he has no fear.
Losing fear. Is losing the right word? I don't know. But just not having that in your brain anymore.
Or to have that dictate
Yes.
how you're going to
Yes.
go about life. I thought it was also interesting him talking about how relationships change and looking at some of those relationships that maybe are more superficial, and maybe those aren't the right ones anymore. Maybe some relationships like that play a role for a certain time in life, and when something like this happens, you can leave some things behind if they aren't helpful anymore and focus on what is helpful. So he just had so many great things in there that we really want to highlight, and thank him so much.
Absolutely. And I'm sure our listeners have noticed the format has changed slightly. I just realized, Kelly, that 4 minutes into this, we should probably address that.
Yeah, we probably should. So if you guys want to subscribe, which is something we really want you guys to do because we love having a conversation with you guys outside of this room about the topics we follow. So you can follow Hard Turn on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. You can follow Hard Turn at Hard Turn Podcast on Instagram and Hard Turn Pod on X.
It is hard to say. It's not just you.
Hard Turn. Also, the technology is still getting worked out a little bit. It's a little bit of an echo. But and for the first time, guys, you are going to be able to watch this on YouTube, like you see us in this room. With
There are
so
like 30 cameras.
many
I don't know which one to look
cameras.
at.
So don't pick your nose, Mary.
I know.
Don't you?
Why'd you say that? Like I've done that for season 1 or something. I know.
Anyway, all right. Episode 1, season 2. Check.
Thanks for listening, you guys.
Thank you,
we're
guys.
always open to feedback. Reach out. Let us know.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Good to be back.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Kelly.
Hard Turn is a Sinclair podcast produced out of KOMO TV in Seattle, Washington. We're your hosts, Kelly Koopmans and Mary Naum.
Our show is produced by Dan Grohl, directed by Rick Swayzer, and edited by Darren Tegman. Engineering support from Bill Fesh and John Reynolds. Graphic support from Pete Lowell.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode and to stay up to date with any future episodes, follow us on Instagram at Hard Turn Podcast and X at Hard Turn Pod. You can follow Hard Turn on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or really wherever you like to get your podcasts.
Know someone making a big change in their life? Share this week's episode. Your recommendation helps our show to grow, so spread the word.
Hard Turn was presented by Overlake Medical Center and Clinics.